Good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session for Tuesday, September 20th, 2022. It's 9:03 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Vice Chair of the Board. Commissioner Gary Edwards here. Commissioner Mejia is excused today. For virtual public attendance, you can follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. We are scheduled till noon. There'll be a break about midway through. We'll start off with homeless strategies update. Item 1 on this morning's agenda, Keely Marino from Public Health and Social Services. Good morning, Keely.
Good morning, Commissioners. Keely Marino here with your update for the week. So as per usual, we continue to work with our state partners and local jurisdictional partners and providers on the right-of-way initiative. There are no current sweeps planned at this time. We're waiting for there to be more bed availability for that to happen. There will be some offers made to a small number of individuals that are down in the downtown interchange this week. So we hope that some folks will be able to move into Unity Commons. Otherwise, we just continue to trudge forward in planning as we move through the ROW initiative. Other than that, Desmond Drive is one of those camps that was slated to be cleared on the 15th. That was delayed. And will move forward at some point, but it was delayed. And so that movement of folks into Lacey or Olympia or the surrounding area is not occurring at this time. City of Olympia will be shutting down a portion of Ensign Road this week on the 21st and 22nd between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. as they begin the process of moving people to Quinn Street Village. The entire road will not be cleared. It will just be a portion of the road. And they anticipate the process being completed mid-October, but it is beginning this week. And other than that, we have a number of items on the agenda further on down, and I'll end there and answer any questions that you might have.
Commissioner Edwards, questions for Keely?
No questions, thank you.
Keely, I wanted to ask about the right-of-way initiative, and folks are asking me about that. So if somebody's asking me how many dollars does this involve? And I know we started at one place, but then there were shifts, and now hotels coming to another entity and stuff. So as you understand it right now, how much money would be directed to Thurston County in the aggregate for this whole right-of-way initiative?
I believe that the total is between 36 million and 37 million, and that's for the purchase of a hotel, 2 years of operations, the development of Franz Anderson for tiny home villages, 3 years of operations for that, the $2 million funding gap for Lehigh to complete Martin Way, 28 Martin Way, second phase, and then the outreach and the support to Unity Commons. So that's all of that package. That's what that 37 million covers.
Okay, so 37 million to Thurston County. It's not all coming into the county's hands because some of it's going to, for example, to Lehigh or whatever, but that's the total resources Correct. Deployed under this plan to the county.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. County Manager.
And just as additional more detail, Keely, we have been working on updating the MOU with the state and the city of Lacey. And when we last provided an update to the board, that was an avenue as to how we're going to have a little more, I don't want to call control, but perhaps say in terms of the purchase and the operation of the motel. I believe when we review the MOU, seems to give us a little more latitude. I think it's in the process of being reviewed. And at some point, we'll bring the revised MOU for the board to consider approving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything, Keely? Sorry.
I was just going to say we'll be meeting with City of Lacey this Friday or Thursday afternoon, actually, to be going over the latest draft of that. So that's ongoing.
Okay, very good. Let's go to item 2. There is no meeting this afternoon. Items were either moved forward till last week or moved back till next week. Next week's meeting is a 6 p.m. meeting. So we'll review the agenda for that Tuesday, September 27, 2022, 6 p.m. meeting. And this is pursuant to a new ordinance that the board may have the fourth Tuesday of the month meeting in the evening. And we're trying that to see how attendance goes and how it works. So this is the second of those. The meeting would be called to order at 6 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Edwards. Review of the 9/27 agenda and board meeting minutes from September 13th. There will be a presentation regarding a proclamation for National Hispanic Heritage Month. And Clerk of the Board, Jamie Caldwell, what are we expecting for that?
For Jamie Caldwell, Clerk of the Board, I've reached out to the Hispanic, pull this up really quick. It was the Commission on Hispanic Affairs, and have confirmed that one of their commissioners and their executive director are going to be in attendance. Commissioner Mejia's aide also confirmed that Commissioner Mejia had reached out to a couple local organizations, and there's going to be 2 or 3 other attendees to accept as well. And just a quick quick item to note out here is that we do have a public hearing that's scheduled at 5 o'clock. So I didn't know if you wanted to go over that, because the limitations on this template that I have, I can't bump that public hearing to the top of this template. So it is at the back of it. It does start before the meeting though.
I got you. Okay, well, we'll just cover it at the end, but that's a good point to note, that the public hearing for Community Planning and Economic Development item A27, non-conforming code update critical areas ordinance, will occur at 5. But we'll get there. So we'll just track this agenda. Questions, Commissioner Edwards, about the Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation?
No questions on that. I do have one, comment, question. Maybe Romero knows the answer on this. Is we're trying to have more exposure and participation by having these evening meetings, and we're kind of going to be gauging how successful that is. Do we know how many people joined us at our last evening meeting in comparison to a regular meeting? I just wondered. It seemed like it was pretty small attendance. I wanted to make sure that people asked me.
Thank you for the question, sir. Last 6 o'clock meeting, we have only one member of the public attending in person, and I don't recall having anybody join us via Zoom. So it was one person at 6 o'clock.
And it was about one person routinely attends at 2 p.m.
Right.
So it really wasn't anybody additional, at least by that first meeting.
I would mention though that she let us know that the door was locked. There was a snafu with making sure the building door was open that we'll make sure we address next week. So we don't know how many people tried to come.
Yeah, but I did open the door right at the time the board was taking public testimony to make sure. So and I didn't see anybody waiting, but we'll see how next week will go. Again, we'll coordinate a little bit better as to when the doors will be open.
Right.
I guess as a follow-up to that, I would just maybe ask that being as we're going to the effort, additional complications with staff and everything, at least let's make sure we're getting the message out to the public so that should there be interest, they will at least know when to join. And then we can assess it later on down the road. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
We can make that the public. PIO checking. Okay, so next is opportunity for the public to address the board. County manager's update. Anything you're going to report on, County manager?
Yes, I'd like to follow up on a comment. I will be following up on the comment related to the use of the app
Next door.
So I'm prepared to follow up on that comment next week.
Okay. Consent agenda items, we only have 3. Item 3A is a coroner item, a resolution setting the salary range for the forensic pathologist classification in the Thurston County at-will pay plan.
Thank you, sir. The board, during the biennial budget approval 2022-2023, created a forensic pathologist position in the coroner's office. Human resources in the coroner's office have been having difficulty recruiting any candidates, any qualified candidates to this particular position. As you heard on many occasions from the coroner, Gary Warnock, he has been seeing that the whole industry is facing that type of challenge because there's not that many qualified, because this is a very unique set of skills that we need. But also when the board approved this particular position, it was the intent that perhaps we're going to be providing forensic pathology services, not just for here in Thurston County, but perhaps 2 other counties. And you heard some of that from Coroner Warnock as well. So this particular item for your consideration is to increase the salary of this position to see if we can get a little more latitude to bring individuals here to Thurston County. So the current salary is the range is from $14,592 a month to $18,832 a month. The proposal before you is to leave the lower end of this position at $14,592, but increase the high end to $20,833 per month. That will be just about $2,001 a month increase, and will be just about 11%. This certainly is going to have an effect on the general fund, and even this year, but even this year perhaps it's going to be on how much we have already been paying for autopsies outside of the preview of the coroner. So it's a balance that we need to go through. I believe this is at least a good attempt to see if we can get qualified candidates. But it does have an effect on the general fund this year.
I doubt that the coroner would be able to absorb this, but he's also not able to absorb the increase in autopsy costs. So either way, there'll have to be an amendment to his budget.
Commissioner Edwards, any questions on this?
Yes, I just, maybe a comment so the public knows what's going on here with all, I believe we've had well over 100 overdoses so far this year. And that is a heck of a workload for what we would normally have. And it looks like that's going to be the norm here. We're going to be over 150 by the end of the year. And it's crucial that we end up with this position in the coroner's office. So, and I do believe he's got a plan in place to try and offset some of that expenditure.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next item. Item 3B is information technology, renewal of ESRI maintenance.
Thank you, sir. I would recommend those items B and C to be as department items, just to due to the dollar amount involved with those actions. So so you will see those as a department item next week. Item 3B is related to renew the maintenance contract with ESRI. ESRI is the back end application that will help us to manage the geographical information system, the GIS system software. This ESRI is a well-known outfit that actually provides the environment for the GIS to be effective. In this particular proposal is to continue with the maintenance contract. This is not securing the services of this particular outfit. Securing the services of that particular outfit has already been in place. This is just a maintenance contract. And the proposal is for the next 5 years with a total amount of $143,613.20. This is already in the 2022 budget for IT And it is not this is more of an administrative process. They will ask the board to approve this renewal of this contract. Any questions? Oh, Dennis here.
Dennis, anything you'd like to add?
I'd just say that this is already in our rates, and like Romero said, yeah, it's just a maintenance contract to renew all the services we're already using and that we've been using for years.
Commissioner Edwards?
No comment, thank you.
I was writing and I don't know that I completely caught. What is this maintenance? It maintains what exactly? What is this backing up?
GIS.
Oh, GIS, that's right.
Geographical Information System.
Okay, primarily that system or?
Yeah, that's primarily the back end of the GIS is the Esri.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you. Next item is also information technology, renewal of Laserfish maintenance.
Yeah, similar to the previous contract item, Commissioners, this is for you to consider renewing the maintenance contract with Laserfish. And Thurston County has made a large investment in Laserfish products as the foundation for our record management software. Laserfish is also used extensively in the courts, corrections, and the sheriff's office in the day-to-day business operations. Similar to the previous request, this is to renew the contract for $107,922 per year, and it will be for a 5-year term. Again, this is included on the 2022 information technology budget, IT budget, and there is not a request for additional funding or budget authority from the board.
Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
I don't know that I have any questions. I mean, Laserfish has been around quite a while. Is there a vision for doing something different than that, or is that kind of where we're at for the time being?
Oh, that's where we're at. That's where we're committed to going with our document management right now. This is just the same thing, just a renewal of licenses, annual renewal.
Right, these are for systems we already own and we just need the annual maintenance. So these are technical, but they need to come to the board because of the dollar amount.
Okay, very good. Let's go to department items, the numbers might shift and whatever, since county manager is going to be moving 2 of these items from consent to department. But for now, we'll look at 4A as auditor item, approval of the voucher list for a week of August 22nd.
Thank you, sir. This particular item is for you to consider approving the voucher list for the week of August 22nd, 2022 for a combined amount of $1,100,351.35. The reason that you have this as a department item as opposed to having a consent agenda as regularly is, on page 26, there is an expenditure related to the atrium for an amount of $630.21.
Commissioner Edwards, anything?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, very good. Item 5A, Amend Ordinance 16179.
Thank you, sir. On July 19, 2022, the majority of the board approved an ordinance number 16179, which really amends Chapter 2.02 of the Thurston County Code that is related of the regular and special meetings of the Board of County Commissioners. In that section of this particular ordinance outlines the new location as to where and when the board will meet on a regular basis, which is outlined to be at the 3000 Pacific Avenue. On the ordinance the board passed on July 19, 2022 includes the beginning of your regular meetings at 3000 Pacific will be on December 1st, 2020. And as you are well aware, due to supply chain issues and furniture delays, we will not be able to meet that deadline for the board to conduct those businesses, the business beginning December 1st, 2022. Also, during that process, during that time of the year, you will be heavy into the budget process, and I don't think it will be prudent to move some of those the operations and your meetings on December 1st. So this particular proposal, and I have included a copy in your packet of the changes of that ordinance that changes that date to be January 1st, 2023. And that's the only change related to this amendment.
Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Let's look at item 5B, on-call design and engineering services contracts. Ron Campbell? County Manager.
So, thank you, sir. On May 8, 2018, the Board of County Commissioners authorized Central Services Department to solicit a request for qualifications to negotiate and execute contracts for an on-call consultants. And I believe the board is familiar with this particular process. An on-call consultants is when we secure the services of specific outfits, engineering firms, architectural firms, and the otherwise. They have a specific set of expertise that the county staff does not have. And we ask them to help us when we have a specific need in any part of the business. Public Works uses that particular approach. And Central Services have been utilizing that since May 8, 2028. The result of that request for qualifications resulted in contracting with 16 consultants. And that particular contract expires on December 31st, 2022. This particular items for you to consider extending those contracts until December 31st, 2024. And I believe under terms of the contract allows for that extension. So we're just exercising the extension clause on that particular contract. And Robin?
Nothing to add.
I saw Commissioner Edwards in the hall. Maybe he's had questions in the past on this item, so I thought maybe I'll give him a second.
Sure.
Commissioner, do you have any questions on the on-call engineering contract?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. I do not either. So let's go to item 6A, Public Health and Social Services. We have a few different items here related to housing. And Tom Webster, Keely Marino will be handling these. Let's see. First one is 6A, Rent Assistance Contract with Live Stories.
So if I may, Commissioner, I'd like to reverse the order because the sequential actually makes sense to reverse the order. And so let me start with item 6B, if I may. So item 6B is related to a contract for you to consider an amendment with the Washington State Department of Commerce related to the Treasurer Rental Assistant Program. On April 6, 2021, the Board of County Commissioners approved a contract with the Washington State Department of Commerce for us to receive $10,210,939 for emergency rent and utility assistance activities. And that has been extremely successful. And this particular contract ends on September 30, 2022, next week. The Department of Commerce has informed the county they have additional funding for rental assistance for $2,544,756 under the TRAP 1. So this particular proposal is for you to consider extending the contract with the Department of Commerce until December 29, 2022, in order for us to receive the additional funding. One of the reasons as to why the Department of Commerce is reaching out to Thurston County mainly is because we have been effectively distributing the money on rental assistance to those individuals in need. So you're well aware related to the rental assistance program, right now we're utilizing live stories to help us distribute those funds and manage those applications, and that is the item related 6A. Negative 6B, we'll reverse the item for you to consider approval of the contract, the amendment with Washington State Department of Commerce. And Keely is here to answer any questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thanks.
So what was the previous duration of the contract?
The contract ends on September 30, 2022, next week.
So we're getting 3 extra months and
And $2.5 million additional. Oh, $2,544,756 to be exact.
And is that like, did they calculate based on our current rate of expenditure, or that just happens to be the amount of money that was left from the pot?
They just have extra money. I don't think there is nothing related to.
But they could have given us more than 3 months duration if they thought we needed that time to spend it, right?
They could have, but it's highly likely we will have no problem spending this in 3 to 4 months, especially as you hit the winter months.
I know what you're saying, that perhaps the extension to the end of December 2022 is perhaps of the rate of expenditures related
Well,
to.
I'm just sort of curious, like, I'm always curious to learn how much thought goes into this stuff. Like, did somebody actually go, okay, Thurston County's been spending this much per month, so we're gonna give them this much? Or did somebody just divvy up the money by population and there wasn't a lot of thought into the duration, or was the duration limited by, it's the state's fiscal year, so they couldn't extend beyond December 31st? Like, just trying to figure out how this got.
So it's not the state fiscal year. The state fiscal year ends on June
July,
30.
yeah. I mean, I'm just
June
giving an
30.
example of.
So it wasn't that, and maybe Keely has a little more insight into what was going on in Department of Commerce. But in my experience, when a state agency discovers that they have more money that they need to get out the door, because somewhere else didn't spend it, it's usually because somewhere they granted money to didn't use it, and they want to ensure it can be spent. So they're looking for the jurisdictions that can spend it. Keely, do you know anything about this particular grant?
I think that you just summarized exactly what I was going to say, that apparently there were some counties that weren't able to spend down the full amount by the end of the contract year. And so those communities, including our own, that have been really effective in spending down those funds were awarded the remaining funds from the counties that were unable to spend it down.
Any idea how Commerce would have divvied up what they had available?
I do not know that.
Yeah.
I would imagine that my imagination is that they're looking at all counties that are effectively spending down and distributing funds appropriately, would be my guess.
And it's possibly some type of a population basis, or perhaps looking at how much can you spend.
But we don't have to
any
do
of those.
anything, like 3 months and 2.5 million, like, we don't necessarily have to go scrambling around to do something different. We think that we can deploy those resources.
Which is why you see what will be item B, to just push it out through the people we're already working with to get it out the door.
Commissioner Edwards.
And I think it's more than just being able to spend it, it's being able to spend it in the right dedicated areas to help folks.
Right.
And they know that we've got the capability of doing that and have
Right.
history of it.
The population has now become accustomed to how to do the new application process, and now is not the time to change providers.
Yeah, right, and I appreciate your comment, Commissioner Edwards, because this particular approach is not just about spending money, it's about addressing the needs of our community.
Right.
And I think the Thurston County has been effective in addressing the needs of our community by issuing the rental and utility assistance.
Okay.
Okay, then let's go to the next one, whichever order you want to take them, County Manager.
Well, I think for me, logically, is for you to consider approval of the amendment before you distribute the money.
Okay,
So the next item is
6A.
6A is for you to amend the contract with Life Stories to award the $2,310,692. It's a little bit different from the dollar amount that you highlighted, because we retain a little bit of administrative fees associated with this contract. So again, for your consideration, is to award the additional $2,310,962 to Life Stories, or what I call the GeoCo Incorporated. We call it Life Stories for now.
Okay, any questions on that one?
No, sir.
Okay, sounds like it flows from 6B, pretty straightforward. Go to 6C, approval of housing and essential needs and rapid rehousing contracts.
So a little bit of history, and I believe the board is well aware of this process. Back in June 30, 2022, the Community Action Council notified the county they will no longer be providing, engaged with the county to provide the housing and essential needs, as well as rapid rehousing programs serving the Thurston County community. During that process, we engaged with the board in 3 steps: the immediate step, the intermediate step, and the long-term step. The intermediate step, we needed to make sure that those individuals who are depending on this particular benefit didn't see a gap or a lapse on issuing their checks. So financial services and internal to the county, we made sure that those checks will continue to flow for the first 2 months, that was July and August. Parallel to that, we needed to make sure that we have a little bit of an intermediate step in which the board authorized to award the contract to Life Stories to help us on that process. And the third step was the board authorized for a long-term issuance of the program to go through a request for proposals to secure a more long-term strategy as to how we're going to be providing the HAN and the rapid rehousing programs to our community members. That was issued early in the year, which the result of that process is for you to consider awarding the Catholic Community Services $2,400,000 to manage the Housing and Essential Needs Program, Catholic Community Services for $175,000 for the rapid rehousing, and to Family Support Center $100,000 for the Coordinated Entry Program. Those particular elements were presented to the Regional Housing Council on their meeting of September 14, 2022. And the Regional Housing Council unanimously voted to recommend the Board of County Commissioners for you to award those contracts as stated. Keely?
Yes, well said. So we went through our review team, a review process with the technical team and some subject matter experts on this matter. It was pretty unanimous that we considered that Catholic Community Services was well equipped to operate the HEN program and rapid rehousing. They actually operate the HEN program in 2 counties. They operate it in Kitsap and they operate it also in King. So they come with a lot of experience in operating the HEN program. So we're very excited to be moving forward upon approval of those contracts. Likewise, just in 2021, Commerce alerted all counties in Washington state that HEN funds could be used for coordinated entry. And so last year we did award some extra funds to Family Support Center for coordinated entry from the HEN program. And so they did send in a separate request this year for some additional funding through HEN. We were not able to award them the amount that they asked, but due to budgetary concerns and ensuring that the HEN program would remain whole through the contract period ending on June 30th, 2023. And so those are the awards that we're presenting to you today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I guess this would be for the county manager. When you were going over that, 2,475,000, you said 100,000 on something, and I just didn't see it in here.
Yeah, is for the Catholic Community Services is twofold. Is $2,400,000 for the housing for the HAN program. And also Catholic Community Service for $175,000 under the rapid rehousing.
You said 100 for the Family Support Center for coordinated.
And 100,000. Oh, I see what you're saying. That amount is not included.
Yeah, just I'm curious about that.
Good catch. We'll add that.
Yes, that was I noticed that this morning. That was my error. So it will be amended.
So
Yeah.
we'll add on the motion, the $100,000 for Family Support Center on the coordinated entry. Thank you.
Missing a zero there on the 2.4 million
Yep.
too. And then my question is, when we were first confronted with the fact that Community Action Council didn't want to be a bidder or whatever you call it, a provider for the hen. Actually, before that, when we were deciding whether or not we would be willing to work with Community Action Council on hen, it was sort of said that, there wasn't really anyone. We were really scrambling around to figure out who could even do this, and it was felt that nobody really had the experience. But Keely just said Catholic Community Services has a lot of experience doing it, including doing it in other counties. So did we just not know that, or what was the deal there?
Yeah, I would say that I was not aware personally that they were operating hen programs in other counties. And so in early July, we sent out an inquiry of interest to the provider community here in Thurston County and received back some interest from a number of agencies. We asked if any agencies were capable of taking on the whole program or interested in taking on the whole hen program, partial hen program, and they were invited to highlight any experience they had. And in that inquiry process, we did learn that Catholic Community Services did operate 2 other hen programs. So yes, that was unknown to myself, and I can't speak for Tom, but I would assume that also we were not aware of, he was not aware of the hen programs operating in those other counties.
Okay, well, that makes sense, I guess. Good to know. All right, then let's go to, that covers 6A, B, and C. We're all good? All right. Then let's go to item 7, which is a public works item. Resolution of intention to establish Offutt Lake Management District number 24 and set a public hearing.
Thank you, Commissioners. I believe you are well aware. The residents of the Offutt Lake has submitted a petition to the county to support the formation of a lake management district. You have received many written as well as oral testimony in the last couple of months, if not more, related for you to consider approving this resolution of intent in establishing this lake management district, district number 24. And also for you, the next step in the process also is for you to consider setting a public hearing. And at this point, this public hearing, if the board approves, will be set for November 1st, 2022 at 3:30 in the afternoon. And Tim is here to give you more detail, but I believe the board is well aware of this particular item. Tim?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Very, very good summary. And just a reminder, this is mirroring, if you will, a similar effort for Pattison LMD, which is 2 or 3 months ahead of the Offutt process. This resolution of intention that you'll be considering next week does several things. That recognizes that the petition is valid, the petition that's received from the community. It outlines the proposed purpose of the district and the rules of engagement, if you will, with the county. It would signal the board's intent to explore the formation of the LMD. And as Romero mentioned, it sets a public hearing for November 1st. And the reason for November 1st is by statute, by RCW 3661, it's a little bit odd in that it says that public hearing needs to be at least 30 days and no more than 90 days from the date of adoption of that resolution of intention. So November 1st would be the first available date after adoption. And with that, I would take any questions you might have.
Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, sir.
Since we're on the LMD topic, I'm just wondering, Tim, what is Paula, I understand she's moving on to other job. When's her last day, and who is going to be covering all of the work for Long and Lawrence while we try to find a replacement for her? And I understand we need more staffing for these potential new 2 lake management districts. So how are we going to manage that?
Yeah, no, you're correct. Paula has submitted her resignation. Her last work day with the county was last week. We have a requisition in, and we're actively recruiting for a replacement for Paula's position right now, and have some applicants for that. The workload for both Long and Lawrence, as well as moving forward these two proposed LMDs, will be a challenge. There is going to be some communication out to Long and Lawrence regarding that, and a request to work with them on prioritizing their work plans so that we can focus on the needs that are important, and we're going to have to put off some of the ones that aren't so important. The good news is the timing for this, most of the work plans, the in-lake treatment and those types of larger items for Long and Lawrence are complete for the year. Paula has been very helpful in compiling all the information for us to do our end of year reports and those types of things. So the best of a bad situation is the timing for this is fairly good. But Paula will certainly be missed by the communities and by the county as well.
You may want to make sure that the leadership at Pattison knows, because they actually cited in one of their emails to me, they cited wanting to work with Paula as one of the reasons why they chose a lake management district, not a special district.
Yes.
So the time is now if they want to change their mind, and they should at least be made aware of that, because they specifically, that was one of their justifications for us, but lake management district.
Yeah, we'll certainly get that information, Commissioner, regarding Pattison. The ballots have been sent out as well. So we are in that period where the community is voting currently now, and as much relevant information as we could pull together, we posted on the website and have available to them. But we will make their leadership aware.
Thank you. Commissioner Edwards, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
That takes us to the end of the substantive items for the 27th, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. We'll go, we have standing items, which is commissioners' reports, county manager reviewing our schedule. But at 5 p.m., as I said, and it's just listed here at the end, we would be having the community planning, economic development, public hearing on A27. Ashley is here from, Ashley arrived from CPED. County manager, anything you want to say about this item?
This item, the board was briefed on August 3rd, 2022, and also the board approved setting the public hearing for next week on your August 23rd, 2022. This particular public hearing is intended for you to receive public testimony related to amendments to Title 24 of the Thurston County Code related to the critical area ordinance. And this really provides flexibility on administrative procedures related to existing non-conforming uses of structures and lots. And at this point, we ask the board to close the public hearing at this point, and we'll schedule a follow-up briefing for you to assess the public testimony that you might receive next Tuesday. Ashley, any additional information?
No additional comments at this time. Thank you.
No, sir.
So I just want to clarify on this. So there's, as I understand this, there's two areas of proposed change. One is, and I say areas, I mean kind of just, there are three situations that are covered. And so there's what those are, and then there's what's actually changing about those three situations. So there's the whole thing about the administrative process versus what it was before. So kind of those two aspects of the problem. And when it comes to the three situations, I'm just remembering one of them, and this is a question for Ashley. One of them is a project on the same footprint, but the value exceeds 50%. A second one was a extension of the footprint, but away from the buffer. So there's like a non-functional buffer or whatever, because you're going away from the buffer where it's already been disturbed. What was the third scenario that's in this list? I couldn't remember that one.
Projects that are allowed under the code currently, as long as they're a minimum of 100 feet from the wetland edge, and that would be consistent with how we review riparian buffers.
Okay, the first part of your sentence I don't understand. Projects that are allowed.
Under the current code, so projects that would already be considered for non-conforming structures, just making that review procedure consistent for all buffers.
Okay. That one's probably gonna need a little more, we don't have to do it today, but that one will probably need a little more explanation at the public hearing, just as a preamble, just to give a more specific example so it's clear to the public what we're talking about. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you. Just write that down real quick. Okay, that covers us for September 27th. Next item on the agenda is proclamations and awards.
Jamie Caldwell, Clerk of the Board. Outside of what we've already reviewed for the upcoming proclamation, I wanted to see if the board would be comfortable with me sending out the current proclamation schedule to the various offices and departments and asking them to submit requests for consideration for next year. I've had 4 different proclamations be requested for the entire month of October to be proclaimed for various different items, and only one of those is actually on our proclamation schedule. So I know that there are other requests out there, and thought maybe the board would like to consider what proclamations they would like to make for the upcoming year. As far as boards and commissions, your packet includes requests for both appointment and reappointment to the Agricultural Advisory Committee, the Hotel Motel Commission, and the Housing Authority. The Ag Committee has a request for appointment from Mr. Klein and reappointment request from Mr. McIntosh. The Hotel Motel Commission has appointment requests from Ms. Panzoa and Ms. Phillips, and the Housing Authority has reappointment requests from Mr. Goldstein and Mr. McClanahan. I've touched base with the staff contact for each, and all 3 committees are recommending appointment as requested. Aside from any questions, that's all I have.
Commissioner Edwards?
I don't have any questions on any of these.
Okay. So I would support the agricultural advisory candidates based on that, but we can wait for Commissioner Mejia to discuss that.
My suggestion will be to wait until next week for her to probably.
The other ones are brand new, and I'm at least brand new, and so I would definitely need more time on those. I think there is interest in housing authority, so I would make sure that's advertised and folks in the community have a chance to apply. Okay, well, there's no other questions on that. We'll address that with Commissioner Mejia next week.
No problem.
And PIO check-in, I don't see a PIO. Brian Dominique. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners, County Manager.
Meetings, I know.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager, and Assistant County Manager. Brian Dominique, Public Information Officer for the board. Just a couple quick updates today. The request for proposals for the designated service provider contract for television production and programming services in the cities of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, and the county was released by Lacey on Friday, and we're already looking, and the due date's October 15th, and we're already looking, the review team's already working on dates for review of that in late October, early November. And then per the discussion for next week's evening meeting, I can put together some communication materials for that, including a write-up in the Friday 5. We can do a news release about it, get some information on the homepage, and do some social media, and just let people know what we're trying to do. And pending any questions, that concludes my brief.
I guess I'd like to make sure as you put that information out that we are experimenting with doing something different.
Exactly what I was gonna say. So
That's
appreciate.
kind of scary,
I know.
Commissioner.
Exactly what I was gonna say. I don't want to create a false, try to be really accurate with the wording so that we don't create, if we decide in a few months this isn't working, I don't want people to look back and go, oh, you promised you were doing this. Like, make it clear that this is that the board has an option to do a fourth Tuesday evening meeting, and the board is experimenting, whatever word you want to use. The board is, trying this new out, and we want people to participate if they're interested, but I don't want to be accused later if we decide to retreat from it because it's not working. I don't want to make anyone upset that they thought that we had committed to it for forever. So
Yeah, I'll probably use
Tricky
language like
wording.
exploring, and I'll work
Yeah.
closer with I'll work closely with the county manager.
very good. Okay, well then we're good on that. Then let's go to briefing, public hearing. No, nothing there on item 7. Commissioner items. Boy, we have plenty of time.
This is record time
Yeah.
on an agenda setting so far.
Commissioner Edwards, do you have a commissioner item you want to bring up, or?
I don't know if it's the proper time to bring it up, but we don't want to scratch old wounds, maybe anything new on past issues, I guess, CAC or maybe at a later date or.
Yeah, I think at a later date,
Okay.
probably have an executive session scheduled for you to provide an update on the rental assistant issues that we're dealing with.
Okay.
The journal letter, some of the current investigations that are going on. So I will set up an executive session with you to bring you up to speed. So it is ongoing, sir.
Okay, let's see, we'll just go back and forth. I'll say, where are we at on our advisory committee handbook? I've gotten 2 comments from members. They were kind of similar, the 2 comments I got from, and I'm just wondering, is somebody chewing on those, or when does it come back to the board for discussion?
The board's direction was to give 45 days to all the boards and commissions to weigh in. I have also received the similar comments, I believe. And when is the 45 days, Jamie? I think it's coming up. And as soon as that's done, we'll get all the comments, see in the staff, based on the comments we have received, some suggestions to the board, an upcoming meeting. That's what I'm hearing.
So you're gonna,
I believe the 45 days is approaching next week, but I had a couple people that were on vacation that were staff contacts, and they trickled in, but I haven't had anything further.
okay, yeah, I was thinking it was 30, but if it's 45. But I know 2 of the comments related to the conflict of interest piece, and I don't know if there's a way to fix that, but there'll be a couple of things the board might want to, talk about.
I guess I've heard similar discussions or questions, I guess. And I think it's pretty apparent to others and possibly, I guess myself as well, that a template, one size does not fit all, because we've got such complicated business going on in the county. And so I anticipate more discussion on adjusting some of that stuff.
Yeah, and and at least one of the comments that I was made aware of, I think I suggested the opposite, to get a little more in detail, which, I believe the handbook is pretty high level, but certainly there will be opportunities to incorporate some of the comments. So yes, more to come on that, commissioners. We're just waiting until the 45-day comment period ends, and then we'll reconvene and bring some proposals for your consideration.
How about our, any updates on how we're handling our inspections on, I don't know if the term is right, eye inspections or.
E-inspections.
Yeah, so that people are able to, you know, do a little video, send it in. I'm still hearing that people are waiting quite a bit for inspections, and I don't know if that's because they're not willing to participate or if they don't know how to participate in the program. Is the program working, and do we have room for improvement? I guess we always have room for improvement, but
Yeah,
where are we
so,
at on that?
I believe the e-inspection is available to everyone who wants to take advantage of that.
And they know about this?
Yeah, I believe so, yes. Whether we can do additional reach out, certainly I'll explore that with Josh, but that is an available tool. In addressing your question, second question related to, certainly there is opportunity to improvement. And that's really what it is. And the room for improvement is the new application that we're currently working on. You will see a contract coming your way for your consideration toward the contract to a vendor, so we can start implementing a new tool and all the permitting process. And that by itself is going to give us a little more flexibility and latitude to expand the e-inspections. But let me touch base with Josh, and I can bring back additional information related to this. Would that work?
The numbers, you know, it's been a while since I asked Josh about it, but when I did ask him about it, I want to say 6 months ago, he had numbers that the first year it was very, very few, but the second year it was quite a few more. Now, not as many as we'd probably like to see, but it seemed like it was growing. Be good to hear kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, just an update, that's all.
Yeah,
Yep,
I'd be
I'll-
curious about that too. Okay, so on I know this, you guys probably all know about this, but maybe Commissioner Edwards not as much, but the Board of Health, and I just talked to Kurt yesterday, and the thing I personally really need to hear sooner rather than later is the legal opinion about the electeds versus non-electeds. Does the empty seat count? You have an answer.
I met with our Jane Futterman yesterday, and I believe there was 2 questions related to the Board of Health. Is the appointment from the Indian Health Commission to 1 rep, or there is an expectation to have 1 rep per each of the tribes who have territory in Thurston County? Her perspective is the legislative intent is to have 1 representative in the Board of Health. And the ordinance the board passed outlines is 1 representative from all the tribes here in the county. Whether the board wants to expand that, it really is up to you whether you'd like to expand via change of the resolution. But her opinion is the intent of the legislation was to have 1 representative on the Board of Health. I believe that was the first question. The second question is whether the Board of Health, the new Board of Health, considering you have 7 sitting members, whether you can conduct business. Her perspective is yes, you are allowed to conduct business because you have set aside of 8 members. Just because you have a vacancy on those 8 members, it doesn't preclude you to continue with the business of the Board of Health. It's similar to any type of vacancies that you have in any boards and commissions. You don't need to have every single sitting member. The intent is, as you stated on your ordinance, is that you have set aside 8 positions. Just happen 1 of the positions is vacant. And we'll continue to do our due diligence to secure the membership of the 1 member of the tribes here in the county. So those are the 2 questions that I had with Jane yesterday, and I believe that addresses your concerns to a great extent.
Yes, if the empty tribal seat counts as a non-elected seat, then it's really, I want a tribal representative, but I don't feel like the way the law is structured that it's our obligation. The law is very clear, it's not our obligation, it's the Indian Health, American, whatever it's called,
And that is,
Association of.
and that is specifically what Jane stated to me. That is the obligation, as stated in this piece of legislation, the Indian Health Commission is the one who needs to give us it. Certainly, we can do an outreach, and I believe Kurt presented a proposal, they reaching out to the tribes to see if we can come
See,
to a
that's
consensus.
I caution you there, that's dangerous. If we do an outreach and Nisqually says, yeah, I wanna see, well, we can't do that, you know.
Right.
This commission has to coordinate between the 3 tribes and make the appointment. I don't wanna get involved in the
So
outreach.
what the outreach will be for them to coordinate with the Indian Health Commission.
Yes,
That is the
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
Well,
So that's the
I'm
clarification.
even not wanting to go that, I want to let the system work.
So, but I think
Alone
it's
Just like
making
you
just,
said.
making just made aware of our ordinance, make them aware of that we have, 1 seat for a tribal representative.
but must be
And made
coordinated.
them aware of they need to coordinate with the Indian Health Commission.
So I'm not sure who of you was on the call quite a few months ago with the WASAC Monday meeting, where the representatives who are familiar with the tribes came on and expressed the concern about the way this legislation is written. Because each tribe is its own sovereign nation, the fact that one tribe would represent the others is problematic. So I think that even the county asking them to coordinate to send us with this entity who is supposed to send us the representative is not solid ground.
Yeah, I mean, and following up on that, I'm nervous about this, because I understand that what our legal opinion is, and I agree with it based on the law that was written, the legislation was written. Tribes didn't write that legislation, so I think Jane's right about what the legislative intent was. But when we talked at the Board of Health Training in Spokane to the 2 representatives, I pulled them out after one of the sessions to talk to them about this. They were both unequivocal that for this very reason.
No one
You-
tribe can represent.
No one tribe can represent one tribe, so they're gonna reach out to all, they said, we're reaching out to all 3 tribes. Right now, we don't have any tribe, of your 3 tribes, they said, none of your 3 is interested right now. We're continuing to talk with them, but they were unequivocal that if all 3 wanted a seat, they were getting a seat. So we may get a letter saying, here's your 3 tribal representatives, and that will be inconsistent with our ordinance, and then we'll have to address this. So I'm nervous about any kind of an outreach that's where we've got levels of government and sovereign nations at cross purposes not interpreting the law in a consistent manner. I think we need to just stay
Removed from.
Well,
Remove from it and
yeah,
let-
if that is the case, I think it was more of an attempt to make them aware of this particular position in Thurston County.
They're
available.
aware.
They're aware, I don't think we need to get into
So,
it.
yeah, and if that is the decision of the board, we'll probably pause on that outreach, because even when we, in Spokane, when we approached representatives from the Indian Health Commission, they would have loved for the county to do the outreach. And I understand that, I think they're struggling to get through the process. If there is any, and what it was, I think it was, everybody agrees, I believe, there is, the legislative language related to this matter is very ambiguous to a great extent. And I believe it deserves clarification by the legislature, because you're right, I mean, everybody has a different perspective as to what the intent of this legislation is, but I think, the intent at this point was, to have 1 representative. Is that, the prudent way to handle this? I don't know, but I think it will deserve the legislature to clarify what is, hopefully next year.
Right. It's very possible that whoever wrote the legislation was just not aware of the way the tribal representation works, but it's.
Because it perhaps maybe was an assumption there was only 1 tribe.
Oh,
I think that in my time at the state, it was not uncommon to find people who thought that 1 tribal representative could represent many tribes, but we knew that that was not the case. So to even suggest, any suggestion from the county would not be appropriate, that one tribe should work together to represent the others.
Well, right, I mean, when I saw it, I kind of was scratched my head, but I was like,
very surprised
but I
to see
just
it in the
figured-
legislation. I think it needs a legislative fix, and it's probably part of the governor's, it'll probably come up in one of the accord meetings with the tribes, but,
right, I just thought it
Yeah.
might be some compromise that was worked out when the legislation was passed, you know, because, whatever. Commissioner Edwards, you had your hand up.
No, I mean, we have municipalities that operate under different forms of government, even some have an appointed mayor, some like, whatever it is. And they've got their own thing. They all operate under the United States Constitution and the Washington Constitution. So I'm with keeping the hands off and let just, you did a good job articulating, as you normally do.
Got the message, so, we'll idle on that.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, because, you know, that whole issue about this tribal seat, that's not our problem. What I felt like was our problem was making sure that that the four electeds, that the electeds don't outnumber non-electeds per the law. And you're saying they don't, so we can go forward. Because the other thing I thought was, you know, if that is the case, then what we need to do is, you know, then we point another citizen from the bucket and we just went through that process and we could just take our next person and put them on the board. That way we don't have to violate that law, but it sounds like we don't have to go there.
Yeah, but it will be difficult when a tribal representative comes, then becomes a little more complicated. So from that perspective, you're okay to conduct
Yeah.
meetings?
True, but and Kurt didn't know this either, so maybe you don't either. It doesn't say that tribal, it doesn't have to be equal. It's just that your electeds can't outnumber. So you can have less electeds than non-electeds. You just can't have the reverse.
so if we are so fortunate as to add 2 more commissioners to the board, at that point in time, we'll be seeking 2 more citizen representatives?
Well, that will be a conversation with the new board will be, if, you know, the Board of Health assignment will be 3
Maybe.
commissioners out of the 5.
So the law says that the board will consist of county commissioners. Are we thinking it doesn't require all of them?
How could that be? You have a
Well,
9-person county committee?
I think if the current Board of Health is consisting by the 3 sitting commissioners, I think we move on. But that's something that we need to explore
I
when the
think
time
we do need
comes.
to check that out. I think it's different for
County
charter
councils.
counties.
Oh,
We're not a charter county.
well, the law will tell us the answer to that.
Yeah.
But I would definitely, if the law doesn't require us,
All,
I think we should just
yeah.
appoint board of
8
county
is a big
commissioners.
board.
Yeah, because I think it will be part. That's my take, but certainly, you know.
Because then you're up
more to
to
come.
12. 5 commissioners, a municipal seat. If we don't prove that,
Exactly,
then you have to have 6. You'd have to have a minimum of 12.
yes. That
So-
isn't that.
Okay, well, anyway, that's for a
That's
future
huge.
time. All right,
We'll
Commissioner,
cross that bridge when we get there.
Commissioner Edwards, back to you if you have another item.
Where are we at with the red rock and the blue rock and the yellow rock? You know, in the seabed.
Oh, I see what he said.
Okay, I'm trying to
Is
simplify that.
the
Timeline?
timeline, it has been implemented across the board.
It has been.
Yeah, so this is going through a process, as you may recall, that particular approach was on a test base. And I believe beginning in September, Josh already implemented across the board in coordination with public health and public works.
And that coordination with public health, because where this comes into a rub is with the septic approval and then building and all
So
that, the well.
we're bringing all that,
It's all coming together.
well, yeah,
Okay. Just wondering where we were.
certainly there's gonna be a little bit of, you know, when everybody just move into a different process, we'll assess if there's a need to adjustments. I didn't know what's like the blue rock and red rock.
Yeah, it wasn't following that
But
at all.
I think I got what you were saying.
I knew exactly what you were saying.
Guys, the project review timeline, yeah.
There's no commissioner check-in this week, so I will just give this piece of information that I might have given at a commissioner check-in that I think I told Ramiro, but we had a presentation from DNR at the Chehalis Basin Partnership, and they were talking about their carbon project. And if you remember, the first letter that we sent to them was, hey, why don't you consult with us or include our legacy forest pieces in your carbon project as you're selecting the next 7,500 acres. And the gal who was giving the presentation was talking about their outreach and their engagement process. And I said, raised my hand and said, well, you got a letter from the Board of County Commissioners. Is that all you need? Or do you want us to, do we need to do something else? And she's like, oh no, we've got your letter and you will be hearing directly from us. They said they're gonna reach out to people that have commented to specifically engage with us on our kind of the issues that we raised in that letter. So I thought that was potentially promising, and hopefully we can have a conversation with them on that in the next. They're unleashing their engagement strategy in the next 2 weeks. It sounded like this is something that would come up in the next couple months. But sometime this later this year, so just wanted to report on that. Back to you.
And this we covered on one of our items, but I just got to thinking about this and maybe I missed it, I don't know. When we changed the time to January down at the 3000 building, so we're gonna make an adjustment to the ordinance, I understand. Do we need to have a public hearing to make that adjustment? I just asked to
No,
try and.
in fact, let me recall that you didn't need to have a public hearing the
Good enough.
previous one.
Okay.
You guys not need.
Fine.
You can certainly choose to have.
No, I'm just
I don't-
asking the question, I didn't
I
want
don't
to
want
end
to
up.
overstep my bounds, you have the latitude to do it.
I think anything else I got, I'd rather have a commissioner meeting here, so I'm gonna call it good for myself.
I as well.
Okay, well then 10:14, we're adjourned.
What?